Welcome. This short guide to financial management in times of crisis is done in partnership with Small Business Dreambuilders and Elevate Hennepin, a business support initiative from Hennepin County. Please welcome our presenter, Tamara Dahlvang. Hi, Tamara.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to present this. It's a very important topic. My name is Tamara Dahlvang. Small Business Dreambuilders is an advisor through Elevate Hennepin, and we are delighted to help serve Hennepin County businesses as they grow. So I'll tell you, I'm working with a lot of entrepreneurs right now, and when times are tough, when it feels like the bottom is falling out of the world, what I've seen successful entrepreneurs do is just take a beat, pause. Don't react right away. Stop, breathe, and you want to respond. You want to respond. You don't want to react. You want to respond. You don't want to give up before you start responding, before you start the fight, you could say. And the other thing that I've seen with small businesses that are figuring out how to navigate crises is that they know they're not alone. They're reaching out for support through programs like Elevate Hennepin, through people like their lawyers, their accountants. They're not trying to do this on their own. A lot of them are reaching out for support from their employees too, from their families, from their communities. You're not alone in this crisis, and you will find a way, or you'll make one. That's what my son's football coach always used to say, find a way or make one. And that's what you're going to do. So the first thing to do is to take a beat, step back, and acknowledge that there's a lot going on that we can't control. There are external forces, market shifts, policy changes, unexpected events that can disrupt your business. Maybe your business caught on fire. There's nothing you could do about that. But what we can control once the catastrophe has happened is we can prepare for what else is going to happen. We can sit down and we can game it out. Now that we're dealing with this, what are we probably going to be dealing with tomorrow and the next day and the next week, the next month? How can we prepare for what else is coming? We can create systems, we can make plans, we can figure out what we're going to do. The other thing that we can control is the timing. Maybe it doesn't make sense to respond same day to a catastrophe. Maybe it makes sense to think about the messaging and to decide how much you want to know before you start responding. How clear are you right now? Maybe the best response is, look, we're dealing with this. We don't know anything right now about how this is all going to wash out. That can be something you tell your employees, your family, the people who are supporting you. That's sort of a personal response. The question is, though, how are you going to respond to outside stakeholders? You can decide that. That's under your control. The other thing is, I guess you could say, not giving up right away. Commit. The clients who are successfully navigating extreme challenges right now are committed to meeting the challenges, to learning, to adapting, and in many times to emerging stronger from the setbacks. So the first thing to do is immediate stabilization. Focus on safety and continuity. The first hours and days of a crisis require clear priorities and decisive action. So the first thing to do is to acknowledge the reality of trauma. Ensure the physical and emotional safety of your staff and customers. No business decision, no amount of money is worth sacrificing someone's well-being. Just for instance, there's a client I know who decided, even though she's in the restaurant business, to close her business last month. And she said to all of her customers, to her employees, my employees and I need to take care of each other right now. You know, we need to take a beat and support each other. We can't serve you, our customers. She put it out on Facebook. She sent emails, and she got so much love because she showed how much she cared about her employees. So acknowledging the reality of the trauma, doing what you can to help the people who are your employees and who are your customers, and helping them stay safe is really, really crucial, and it's going to pay off in the long run. Second of all, securing your assets, protect your physical inventory, equipment, financial accounts, move critical documents to secure locations. As a certified public accountant, I can tell you how important critical documents are. And I can also tell you, if you don't already have them backed up in a PDF and saved somewhere safe in the cloud, you should do that right away. But critical documents need to be safe, so move them immediately. And then the next thing to do is, as you're dealing with all of these things happening, photograph damages, save receipts, record all crisis-related decisions and your thought process. Documentation supports insurance claims, recovery efforts, potential grants that you're going to apply for, and if you're going to talk to your vendors and request extensions to pay, you want to have documentation that you can refer to explaining what happened and what you did in response to it. And then the next thing is inform stakeholders immediately with honest, transparent updates. Early communication, instead of making a lot of decisions and communicating it later, prevents confusion and builds trust. Just for example, if you have a restaurant and people come and you're closed, put a sign on the door. Put it on the internet, you know, on Facebook, even on your website, what's happening, why you're closed, because you don't want people to think that you're just closed. So communicating clearly that this is a crisis and that you are doing what you can to handle it and that you're still around is really, really important. Now, I don't need to tell any business owner this, but the cash flow is oxygen. It determines your resilience. My clients who are coming through crises with the least amount of immediate trauma and turmoil are those who are able to access cash. Either they've got savings, personal savings or business savings that they're able to draw on, or they have communities or families who are helping them. Potentially, they might also have access to grants and loan opportunities, but cash is really, really important in managing that cash. However much cash you have, managing it's really, really important. So you want to, first of all, know how much cash you have. Sit down with your bank accounts and your savings, you're checking your savings, and then look at how much is left in your line of credit if you've got a business line of credit, so that you know how much you have to work with. And then you want to decide what bills you need to pay right away. And I probably don't need to tell anybody this, but I would just like to mention payroll is probably the one thing that you do not want to miss, because your staff is your support. Maybe if you don't have payroll, if you're only paying yourself, then it's your decision. But your staff really is the support who will get you through this. So payroll is really important. And then I'll also mention, when you do payroll, don't just write your staff net checks and plan to pay the taxes later. Do not do that. That never works. If you think you're in a crisis now, if the IRS audits you for payroll, you're really going to be in another crisis. So do not avoid paying your payroll taxes in order to preserve cash flow. Rent is really important too, because you need that physical space. However, in a time of crisis, you also might have a little leeway and negotiating power, and we'll cover that in a minute. Utilities, same, really important, but you could potentially reach out and see if you might be able to negotiate. Insurance, I would add accounting. Accounting is really important too, especially because cash flow is oxygen and your accountant can be your best friend, helping you figure out how you're going to cash flow this crisis. So then you make strategic decisions. Once you've identified the essential expenses, what do you have to pay right now? What can you maybe delay? And then you negotiate. Talk to the landlord, talk to the vendor and supplier, talk to your lender before you miss your payments. And many times you'll find that people will work with you. It's to their benefit to work with you because they want you to stick around so that you can ultimately pay them. So just know too, it's to your benefit for them to work with you. If they know that you're really trying and you have a plan, then you're going to be able to negotiate proactively. A lot of this is just about communication, communicating early and often with the team, sharing what you know, acknowledging uncertainties, outline steps being taken. If you're going to end up probably having to ask your team to miss a payroll, communicating that proactively is going to benefit you more in the long run than not communicating it and just not being able to pay them. Second of all, the customer updates. Keep your customers informed about service changes, delays, disruptions. When you are communicating, what you might find is that your customers are going to start a GoFundMe. Your customers are going to find a way to support you even more than you were receiving from them in the beginning. When people understand your story and your troubles and what you're trying to deal with, sometimes you find that there is more to their relationship with you than just you provide a good or service and they pay you for it. Sometimes you find that they care more about you than you would have imagined. The other thing is vendor and lender outreach. Talked about that in the last slide. Be proactive. Tell people, I'd really like to pay you half this month and then pay you more the next month if possible, or maybe it might be 3 or 4 months before I can make a full payment. But make sure that they know that you're doing what you can before problems escalate. Most business partners prefer early honesty to late surprises. And like I said, they're vested in your success too. They're going to want to work with you. So consistency in your communication builds confidence, and regular updates, even when you don't have all the answers, shows that you're engaged and you're actively managing the situation. One of the things I've noticed with the entrepreneurs I'm working with is that they understand that businesses evolve, and this probably isn't the first crisis some of you have faced. Market changes are real. Sometimes you have a difficult customer who leaves you a really bad review, and you have to deal with it, and that can feel like a crisis at the time. You've had other cash crunches. You've had a lot of other unexpected challenges. Each time you've learned and you've gotten stronger, you've evolved, and you've built something real. Your business exists because of you. It's been your vision, your determination, your willingness to take risks, and that same strength is what's going to help you through this challenge. So you will find a way forward, or you will make one, because that's what we entrepreneurs do, and that's what you've always done. So even in the middle of all of this, what you're dealing with, don't ever take off the part of you that the hat. Don't ever take off your hat of the person who's always looking at the future. Retain your future focus. This is not going to be the end. My clients right now who are so inspiring have been the ones who have told me, we know it's going to get worse before it gets better, but it is going to get better. Resilience, sometimes you don't find out who you are until you're tested. Resilience grows after disruption. You learn how to solve problems you never dreamed of. And so when they come up again, you can solve them a lot faster. Every crisis offers lessons that can strengthen your business for the future. So as you're in the middle of it, even if you feel like you're dog paddling, trying to just stay above the water, still keep that part of you going that has a lot of hope from looking at what's going to happen in the future and is focused on the future. Build a plan. So even while you're doing things, you can assess what's working well and what has failed or created stress. You can look at the redundancies that you need to have. Sometimes a particular supplier might be prone to experiencing a crisis, and then you have a crisis. So maybe you want more than one supplier. Maybe you want staff who can do more than one job. Maybe you want more than one revenue stream. So use this too as an opportunity to figure out moving forward, what redundancies do I need to build? What planning can I do for the future? You're going to end up, if you follow this process I've outlined, you're going to end up with a crisis plan, basically. Review and update the crisis plan as you move throughout this crisis process. Review and update it so it remains relevant and actionable. What something looks like today, a situation today might be really different from what it looks like in 3 months. So this plan is developing. You do always, as per the earlier slide about cash, you do always want to build up as much cash as you can realistically imagine you might need. The more uncertain things are, the more cash reserves are going to help you, and they'll create breathing room for challenges in the future. And finally, you will find in a crisis that some things didn't hold up the way that you thought they would. There are some weak points, so you want to invest in upgrading the processes, the relationships, the systems that have proven vulnerable under pressure, and that's a work in process as you're moving along. Elevate Hennepin. Elevate Hennepin is phenomenal. It is such an amazing program. I have people who come to me. I'm a CPA, and I also am a consultant through Elevate Hennepin. And almost whenever someone comes to me, I say, do you live in Hennepin County? Is your business in Hennepin County? Not because of access to me, which, you know, they'll probably have either way, but because of access to people who can help them with HR, with legal questions, with IT issues. Elevate Hennepin, when you think about all of the supports that you might have right now, Elevate Hennepin is really, really a potentially crucial support, because not only do they offer you small business events and webinars, services, resources, lending pathways, one-on-one consultants, cohort programs, and business navigation, they also have become a communication network. So there are also updated communications regarding current opportunities through Elevate Hennepin. So thank you for the opportunity to present today. I wish you well. I hope that if you are eligible for Elevate Hennepin, that you're going to be able to reach out and talk to a business navigator and get the support and help that you need right now to handle this crisis and any other crisis in the future.
Thank you, Tamara and Small Business Dreambuilders, for your insight and guidance today. As Tamara mentioned, please visit Elevate Hennepin for access to vetted resources, no-cost one-on-one advising, no-cost cohort programming, and business navigators to help guide your next step. Join us at elevatehennepin.org. Thank you.